if you want to grow a dye garden, but you're a bit limited on space, then one of the things you can do is grow multi-purpose plants. Now, I'm recording this in March of 2026, and the UK government has just said that we might be facing food shortages. So I'm a little concerned that I don't want to use valuable growing space for dye plants when actually it would be quite good if I grew some of my own food. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 14 plants that you can grow in your garden in a temperate climate that will not only provide you with food, but also provide you with dye. If you're new here, my name is Becca and I'm a hand spinner, natural dyer and newbie weaver, and you're very welcome to my slightly echoey conservatory in my home in West Wales. If you're an old friend, welcome back. All plants contain chemical compounds, and what we're looking for in the plants that we're going to be dyeing with is chemical compounds that produce a colour. Ideally, we're looking for a fast colour, meaning that it doesn't fade quickly through washing or through light exposure. And we can also treat our fibre and fabric so that they are more colour fast. But if you start off with something that is colour fast, then you're going to go a long way to actually achieving those colours and keeping those colours, rather than dyeing something with, say, blackberries that looks absolutely beautiful when it's first done, but within a few washes has faded to a beige. So although fruits quite often will produce a colour, I'm not including them in this list because I find that they do fade quite quickly, and after all, I want to have the food as well, and I want to eat the food, so therefore I'm not including things like black currants, raspberries, loganberries. Although they do produce a colour, I'm not putting them on my list. Okay, so let's start with a few simple vegetables that have got dual use. So no list about natural dyeing would be complete without onions and onion skins. And I'm sure all of us have experimented with onion skins, and you get a range of yellows, and if you do an afterbath with iron, you can also get a nice green. And you just collect the outer papery part of the onion skin and eat the middle bit. They're pretty easy to grow, and I generally grow them from little mini onions known as onion sets. And this time of the year, so middle March, is about perfect for me to start planting those. Obviously, it will depend where you are in the world and what your climate is like as to whether they're going to be planted at this time of the year or another time of the year. Another very useful crop, carrots. And it's the carrot top, so the green kind of feathery carrot top that we use as a dye. And I particularly like growing carrots because you can grow a chantenay carrot, which is a nice little short stubby carrot, and they do really well in containers. And as I'm limited on space here, then carrots grown in containers are an excellent option for me. And I've really enjoyed using the carrot tops to create a colour, and obviously eating the carrots that are below them. Another plant I love to grow, and sometimes I grow them indoors and sometimes I grow them outdoors depending on what the weather's like, are tomatoes. And it's the vine of the tomato that creates the colour. And at the end of the season, when you're taking the vines down, so all the fruits have come off, those leaves and those vines will produce a very nice reddy brown, and that's an excellent way of using something that would probably end up in the compost heap to actually create a dye. Now the next plants, I'm actually going to sort of lump them all into one. I've said that I don't like to use soft fruit to dye with, and I am going to talk about fruit, but I'm actually talking about fruit trees and what's sometimes called top fruit. So apples, pears, plums, peaches, cherries, any of those trees that produce fruit. The bark and leaves and roots and twigs contain lots of tannin, and therefore we've got a really good colour. And rather than kind of hacking bits off your tree randomly, generally we prune those. So when you're pruning your fruit trees, so either if you do a summer pruning or a late winter pruning, you've got lots of material that can actually go into the dye bath before it goes into the compost heap. Apple peel also produces a good dye, and if you're interested in seeing those experiments, then the lovely Yanta, and I will link her channel in the description, did a video about using apple peels to create a natural dye. I think she made that sometime in the winter, but as I said, I will link that in the description for you. Now, another excellent plant for your dye garden stroke vegetable patch is rhubarb. You get a great colour from the roots, but there's also a very useful compound in the leaves and the base of the stem. And the reason that we don't eat the very base of the stem and the leaves is because it contains a substance called oxalic acid, which is poisonous. However, it is an excellent mordant. So if you're wanting to grow your own mordants, then rhubarb could be a good choice for you. So my next recommendations fall into the category of herbs, and it is lovely to have fresh herbs from your garden, and absolutely excellent that you can also get dyes from them. So I've got 4 herbs for you that are lovely in your cooking and your dye pot. So that's peppermint. All mints will produce a colour, but peppermint generally produces the deepest colour, and it's lovely if you do an after bath with iron. You get a really nice dark dusty green. It's really attractive. Another delicious herb that also makes a dye is rosemary, and it's not such a strong colour as peppermint, and if you are in an area where you don't have free draining soil, it definitely is something that you probably want to grow in a pot. But if you are lucky enough to have a free draining soil and a sunny spot, it'll grow in the garden, and it will literally grow for years and years and years. We've got a cutting of a cutting of a cutting of a cutting that was first given to me when I was 14 by a neighbour. Now, that plant has been in this garden for 10 years, still growing strong, and if it gets a bit leggy, I will just take another cutting, and so the process will continue. Another herb that I find pretty indestructible is bronze fennel, and it goes very well with fish, and as we live by the coast, then we grow quite a lot of it. It really thrives here and produces another lovely colour, and it's another one of those greens that really benefits from an afterbath of iron. Bay leaves, delicious in stews, excellent in the dye pot, and a very attractive herb that you can grow in a pot if you're limited with space, or in the garden if you've got a sunny spot. My last recommendation for a herb is marjoram, and you get a colour from the flowers and from the leaves. I generally don't dye with the flowers because I like to leave them for the pollinators, but you do get a sort of a very pale purple from the flowers and one of those nice sort of yellowy greens from the leaves. I've already said that I don't like to dye with fruit that I'm going to eat. However, when you are pruning things like loganberries or blackberries, then you can use the canes to create a dye. I've got 2 bonus plants for you, and these fall under the category of if you've got enough space. And my first one is walnut, and the outside husk of the walnut produces a really, really rich colour, as do the leaves and the bark and the roots and basically all parts of the walnut tree, but it is the husks that are particularly used for dyeing. However, it's a big tree, so I think I'm not going to include it in my list of definitely you can grow in any garden, but going to put it in my list of if you have the luxury of a big garden. So my other if you have the luxury of space is saffron, and saffron has been used as a dye plant both in food and for cloth for thousands of years. It originates in the Hindu Kush, so you do need to have a free draining soil, but the crocus bulbs are very attractive in the autumn, and it's the stamens that you get the colour from, and they are literally worth their weight in gold. However, it is a crop that takes up lots of space. It's quite a specialist crop, so falls under that category of nice to have if you've got the space. I've not included things like pomegranates and avocados because I live in the UK and they just don't grow for us. A full playlist of all my natural dye videos, which I will link at the end of the video. I've also written a little garden planner to go with this video, and if you sign up for my newsletter then it should automatically come to you. If you are already on my newsletter or in the school group, then that will come out to you in April with April's newsletter. So that's April 2006 when I'm recording this. So you know how YouTube works, and it would be really lovely if you could subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed, and it'd be great if you could give this video a thumbs up. I will link all the different bits and pieces that I've mentioned in this video in the description below, and I will see you in a few days' time. But if you can't wait till then, there's a full playlist which I will link there.